This is going to be a half-hour video
putting forth just some of the evidence that shows that Candace Owens and network around Candace Owens is participating in some orchestrated effort to get Americans divided and get Americans mad at all the wrong things. And it's shameful that people with crosses so big that they basically have to call the Building and Zoning Commission out of fear that they're going to tip over and knock them in the head in their background are out there effectively being so dishonest and misleading, pretending to be shepherding America to the land of the free or something like that. And Candace Owens right now is either she is just clueless or she is among the worst of them. And if she is clueless, then people have the responsibility to get onto her streams and hammer or to try any way to contact. And I don't recommend using Twitter. Anyone who recommends using Twitter is a fraud. But to send letters. To send letters and to contact directly. Don't use electronic communications. And as I said in my earlier show, I am appreciative to have been born into a country that's considered to be big enough and worthy enough and valuable enough for there to be organized efforts to infiltrate it, to nudge it, and to manipulate it, and to take advantage of it. People who live in countries that people only leave and everyone wants to forget about, that's a bad situation. So it shouldn't be seen as woe is us as Americans that we have infiltration attempts within our country. And I actually applaud other countries that do their due diligence to find, especially if they need more land, if they need to improve their economy, they should be trying to find ways to improve themselves and to expand, looking after their own people first. Everyone should be looking after themselves, their local community, and then outward from there. That's fine. That's the way it's meant to be. However, unfortunately, in the United States right now, we have people who are actually somehow they get the order reversed, where maybe they look after themselves and their immediate family, but then after that, they're willing to take the money from interests related to other countries above their own and then get on the internet and suggest that maybe they are actually trying to help America. I still think that a lot of the metadata around Charlie Kirk is very strange regarding the way that he died. Again, if I'm wrong about Charlie Kirk, I'm only wrong about one person, where it's odd that the entire network of people that are around this Charlie Kirk, and we must talk about Charlie Kirk narrative all the time, are wrong about things which have cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives. And right there with it is Candace Owens. Sorry, she's in the mix too, along with Ian Carroll, along with a lot of the effort to facilitate the infiltration of the nation of India and interests related to India, which can include the old British crown, if you will. It's very possible. It's probably even likely, okay? But I don't even need to go that far. Either way, these are interests that are not aligned with the United States of America and the United States of America that I grew up with and my friends grew up with and my family grew up with. Sorry, it's not. And this effort to pin everything on Jeffrey Epstein and Jews and Israel and question the Holocaust and everything else, it's funny, okay? It all seems to point in the direction of getting conservative Americans split and angry and motivated over one small territory of Israel, which can barely stand on its own. And Israel is going to be taken care of just fine by India. So you can see how all of this polarization over Israel right now is being used for the benefit. It will be used. It is being used. It has been used. It's going to continue to be used for the benefit of the nation of India, which does, by the way, have the world's largest population right now and will have the largest GDP within the next 10 or 20 years, depending upon how you count it. If you want to include the number of expatriates, people have left India, holy cow. There are a lot of very wealthy Americans right now that are Indian. As a matter of fact, I think they're the highest earning demographic in the United States. And even though I thought that hard work is supposed to be aligned with conservative ideologies, it's actually mostly aligned with Democrat ideologies. And guess what? The money seems to all be going to podcasts and podcasters to have all of them focus their books and their Substacks and everything else on Israel. And Israel is getting extremely cozy right now, extremely cozy, in particular the Israeli leadership with India. The relationship the United States has had with Israel in the past is going to be a thing of the past. So I just found a whole bunch of wild data points and everything from Ian Carroll to Skyhorse Publishing to, again, the same team. You know, whether it's going to be 60 Minutes and Robert Malone and Candace Owens and Richard Verma, of course, and Raja Krishnamurthy and Jayapala up in the Snohomish County area, and Obama and Kamala Harris, et cetera, et cetera. It's all part of the show. And even if you look at the spouses of other podcasters that are out there from other countries trying to control the narrative, you'll see, wow, a lot of Indian intelligence connections. This is pretty strange. No one's willing to talk about it, whether it's the National Institutes of Health infiltration, whether it's control of the subcommittees within the United States government regarding China. Wow, all seem a lot of control from India over there. And here is the killer of them all. Much of the most important evidence regarding the origin of the virus, regarding COVID-19 and conspiracies that it might be related to China, came from India. No one's willing to talk about that seed, are they? So give me a moment to get a few things together, and if you watch this, you are going to be prepared, and you're going to see all of the stuff that the Candace Owens army, if there's anyone involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk who was speaking out against India, not really Israel, India, you're going to see that everyone's going to be dancing around this week trying to find everything in the book, every excuse in the book to not talk about this, because they're all on the take. It is Monday, November 3rd, 2025. Mark Kulak, Houstonic.live. This is not going to be interactive. I'm just going to be talking this one through here. So we start off with the fact that, and so we know that Charlie Kirk, not too long ago, about 5 or so months ago, before Israel started seeding all of these narratives, or someone did, that Israel was going to be killing Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was speaking out really more about India. Now, he was also speaking out against Pakistan. He's definitely, it would have been in the camp of questioning Islam and Muslim religions, but he did not want to get involved. And he also thinks it's time to get serious about cracking down on all of the immigration and H-1Bs from India that were fine, were full. And, you know, I kind of have to agree with him. Okay? I kind of have to agree with him. When populations come into the United States, usually they start at the bottom and you have to work your way up through multiple generations, okay? You come into the United States, you're going to get kicked in the teeth, kicked in the nose for a little while. People are maybe going to, make some names at you, but eventually you integrate, okay? You work your way up. But when it came to India, families were coming in, and then they're fake degrees, and before you know it, they're at the top of the list, making more money than anyone else. How is that helping the United States? How is it helping the United States when Americans are actually having to teach people from other nations how to do their jobs and then having to take other jobs and make less? I've seen it. Almost happened to me. I did have to do the education part, but I see it. And Charlie Kirk was also willing to talk about the opioid epidemic, which almost no one else will, other than to say it's involved with drug running or some other nonsense like that. The opioid epidemic is not about money. You murdering Blood on your hand, fools. The opioid epidemic is not about money. Candace Owens has been actively saying that Charlie Kirk was killed because of Israel. And she's showing all these clips of Bibi Netanyahu laughing that, he's not even hiding it anymore, is what she's saying. And let's see here. Who was the first person out there that said Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel? Who was the very first person? Let's see. It was Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this tweet here. Isn't this beautiful? So Ian Carroll, there's Ian Carroll responding to Charlie Kirk. And you dedicated your life to serving the people who killed him. Very first person out there to say, oh, it looks like Israel killed Charlie Kirk. You know why that's odd? Because I think Ian Carroll is very cozy with Candace Owens, right? Look at this beautiful picture, how they can't control what we see or hear anymore. So Candace Owens and Ian Carroll are basically having an affair over how much Israel controls. Israel controls the world. And who's paying them to do this? Where is the money? If Israel controls the internet, how can they be on the internet with millions of followers and millions of Substack subscribers willing to share their work about how Israel controls everything? It's almost as if there's another country that's paying them to say this stuff. Wow, wouldn't it be a shocker if that was India? That's kind of crazy. Oh, by the way, neither of these people will ever say boo about India. Nope. Never. No. Never, ever. Now, one of the things that Charlie Kirk spoke out about, I found to be odd, was a man named Ro Khanna. In fact, Ro Khanna is is a Democrat, of course. I believe he's an Indian-born man, is out in California, who is currently very active on, guess what? The Epstein Files. Khanna here on NBC News, spearheading the effort that it's the Epstein Files. That's right, it's Epstein and the Jews are behind everything, according to Ro Khanna. Oh, and we have the Republican anti-Trumper Thomas Massie also saying that Trump is behind covering up the Epstein Files. And here they are on a show with an Indian anchor where she's interviewing Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie also will never say anything but very positive things about the nation of India. And Ro Khanna is one of the loudest voices. And Ro Khanna, I believe, provided some accidental support through some retweets of guess who? Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll, who's very friendly with Candace Owens. And it was Charlie Kirk a few months before he either was stage dead or actually assassinated. He called out Ro Khanna as, guess what? As a neoconservative, pro-India neoconservative, not aligned with the interests of the United States of America. It's funny because Ian Carroll won't say anything negative about that, and Thomas Massie won't say anything negative about that, and Candace Owens won't say anything negative. As a matter of fact, nobody right now fighting for Charlie Kirk call this out. All of them seem to have just turned away, I guess because we know where the money is really coming from. Didn't somebody say always follow the money? Well, doesn't that add up? Doesn't that add up conveniently? Now, because, of course, it's all about Epstein victims, right? Everyone's concerned about Epstein. Well, the thing about Epstein, right, is that as far as I know, Epstein didn't really kill anyone, and if he did, maybe he killed a couple of people. But we do have this huge opioid epidemic that everyone seems to be ignoring. It really has killed 1 million Americans right now, and a drop in life expectancy that everyone has turned away from. No one's willing to say that life expectancy drop from an opioid epidemic was used to suggest that either the vaccines failed or they basically lied about the virus. That's odd. That's incredibly odd, isn't it? And Charlie Kirk, in one of his broadcasts several months ago, was saying that we shouldn't be involved in a Pakistan-India war. We should be focusing on things like the drug problem in the United States. Isn't that convenient? Meanwhile, Ro Khanna and the rest of these other, pro-India people are saying we should focus entirely on Epstein. Only Epstein and Israel and Epstein. And Netanyahu and Bibi and the Jews. And then we should focus on Mormons, and then we have to get into Masons, and then we have to get into Venetians and Pilgrims and everything else. But the one thing we should all be cool with is India and Hinduism. This is at the recent Brownstone event. This is Jayanta Bhattacharya, the Indian-born man who's running the National Institutes of Health for the United States of America. He's one of the most unqualified National Institutes of Health directors of all time. And he's with a Canadian woman, who's also, I think, part Israeli, probably also has dual citizenship with India. I wouldn't be surprised in just lying about it, Jessica Rose. And I put that up because Jessica Rose gets paid to lie about why people die. She's basically a prostitute who takes money to lie about the opioid epidemic. You know, the opioid epidemic that Charlie Kirk possibly got killed for talking about. The opioid epidemic that Ro Khanna wants to ignore because we want to talk about the Epstein files. The opioid epidemic that this Indian journalist won't talk about because we want to talk about Trump. The opioid epidemic that Thomas Massey doesn't want to talk about because he wants to talk about Trump. The opioid epidemic that Ian Carroll and Candace Owens don't want to talk about because they want to talk about Bibi Netanyahu in Israel. The opioid epidemic that Jessica Rose lies about. She says it's unrelated to dropping life expectancy in the United States of America. And here she is with the Indian-born Jayanta Bhattacharya running the National Institutes of Health for the United States of America. Instead of, all of this VAERS crap that, burning the eagle ass, whatever the hell that name account is, talks about, VAERS data, why not talk about the fact that the mRNA vaccines never would have been signed off, ever, if we simply understood why people were dying in the first place? Won't do it. Nope. So here we are. And this is, again, India control and infiltration into the United States of America that nobody will talk about. Nobody. But it gets better. There's more. But there's more. And it's this one right here. This is one of the killers, okay? This is a group podcast that happened back in 2020. And as you can see, we're already running out of room here. Already running low on room. This is Ro Khanna on the basically starting from the top left. This is Richard Verma. Richard Verma is an Indian man born in Canada who became the deputy Secretary of State under Hillary Clinton. That's right. He's also a lawyer that was appointed by Murtha to help set up the Windber Cancer Research Center, the one that Robert Malone worked up and is known as the Patrick Soon-Shiong Cancer Research Center. That's all connected. Basically, the only center of excellence that the U.S. military has, should 9/11 have been a biological terror event in November or December, where the U.S. military would have been used for highly carcinogenic experimental DNA vaccines. The only place where that data could have leaked out of the U.S. military would have been Walter Reed. That's right. And he was also working with Senator Kerry regarding the Iran nuclear deal and, of course, India's nuclear deal. And he became the first person of Indian ancestry to become the Secretary of State of India. That Richard Verma, who's friends with Piper Stover, who wound up at Jonathan Cooey's house. Can you imagine the heart attack that these people had when they realized that one of the coolest, most intelligent Americans capable of speaking out about the biology of COVID-19 was partially Indian ancestry? Holy shit. It must have been nonstop sag paneer coming out of the ass when they realized that is what was going on. No wonder why they doubled down so hard on Jonathan Cooey. No wonder why they doubled down so hard. But that's Richard Verma. And then Richard Verma with the Amit Bera. And then there is Jayapal. Jayapal was born in India, and she was the United States elected representative from the area in Washington State that had the first American Snohomish County man, not even American citizen, to have COVID. And then we have right there, Raja Krishnamurthy, an Indian-born person who was the head of the subcommittee in the United States Congress regarding the Chinese Communist Party. Talk about a conflict of interest. The mortal enemies of the Chinese have a person of their very own, born in their very own country in the United States of America, controlling United States dissent against China. Wow, he's also a longtime friend and longtime supporter and even election advisor, if you will, of President Obama. And then last but not least, there's Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna, who winds up, being all about the Epstein files. None of these monsters who are in the United States of America, having power in the United States of America, all of them with more money than me, all of them are focusing all their time about Jews in Israel. What's his name? Ian Carroll's even a freaking Holocaust denier. Can you imagine that? Our internet right now is stuffed with these losers. And Candace Owens is at the center of it. Of course, Candace Owens, as I showed earlier, when it came time to taking the half-Indian Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, and making the entire, concern of her regarding her blackness, what better person to find than a young, attractive, black American podcaster, Candace Owens? And was it really about, talking about the blackness, or was it really kind of washing out the fact that, wow, she's, her mother is a PhD microbiologist that was born in India, and now she's about to almost become president of the United States. What an interesting opportunity, an interesting time for Candace Owens to, be parachuted in to control dissent. Wow. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. 10 ways till Sunday. We got this. Follow the money. Follow the money. And you know what following the money means? It doesn't mean like, oh, wow, there's a small pile over here. We should walk up to that pile and only talk about that pile. No. Follow the money means if there is anywhere in sight, even if you need binoculars, for a bigger pile of money, you go for the biggest pile of money that you can see anywhere. It doesn't mean, hey, we found a couple million here or a billion over there. No, it means trillions. It means you have to seek piles of money that are so big you can't even count it anymore. For example, being in control of the evolution of the human species. How much is that worth? What, 5 million, 10 million, maybe $17 million, maybe a couple oil contracts? No, it's worth more money than anyone has ever seen. There's no limit on the zeros at that point. That's absolute total control. That is the biggest pile of money. Follow the money. Follow the money means following the money. It means not just following, a couple of ass clowns to a small pile of money. It means the biggest pile of money that could ever possibly exist, and you keep hunting for it. That's what following the money means. It doesn't mean finding a small pile and then, creatively positioning yourself so that people can't see the mountain that's actually behind it of something unrelated and getting everyone off course. Unfortunately, Candace Owens appears to be 100% complicit in this. These monsters are working for a foreign country. Most of them were born in the foreign country. And again, good for them. Look, if America is so corrupt of loser, soulless podcasters and researchers that they are willing to sell out their own country, if America can't save itself, then you know what? India gets what it deserves. Trust me. God bless them. God bless them. We lose. I get it. Good for them. This is not about that, okay? The disgust here, are people waving an American flag saying that they're willing to call out the traitors, when in reality they're not. When in reality they're taking money to protect the infiltration. They are the mortal enemy of the United States of America. Ro Khanna is not the mortal enemy of the United States of America. Richard Verma isn't either. They have people that they are reporting to that, don't align with our interests. They're foreign, they're infiltrators. Okay, I get it. Nothing personal. I would like to think the United States is trying to infiltrate other countries too. Nothing personal. It's all professional. That's all professional. But when Americans sell out their own country, so foreign infiltrators, you know, I do not believe in court and punishment like this. But there was a time when if people were selling out their nation like this, they would be hunted down. They would be dragged on the street. They would have their skin removed. They would be hung, and then they would be quartered. And then their limbs would be put at the far points of the town as a reminder of why we don't sell out our own community. Those are the types of punishments which once greeted people that sold out Americans like this. Now, I'm glad we're past those days. But every once in a while, I think it's a reminder of how serious it is when people sell out their country like this. I would recommend revisiting selling out your country like this. I believe in my country. My country is not defined by the South, nor is it defined by the people that are elected. I am America, and hopefully you're on board with this with me as well. Hopefully you feel as passionately about your country. And you know, if you're in India, I hope you feel as passionately about your country as I do about mine. That is what makes us strong. Love you very much.